The transport vessel's cargo bay hissed open, revealing a barren world of rust-colored sand and jagged rock formations stretching to the horizon. Commander Zeth Ak of the Galactic Council stood at the threshold, his 4 eyes scanning the desolate landscape with satisfaction. "Candidate Sarah Chen," his translated voice crackled through the universal communicator. "You have been selected for the ultimate survival assessment. This world, designated Testing Ground Omega-7, has claimed the lives of representatives from 43 different species. The longest any being has survived here is 17 standard days." Sarah stepped forward, her boots crunching on the alien sand. The human appeared unremarkably small compared to the towering Zethak, her simple exploration suit modest against his ornate ceremonial armor. She carried only a basic emergency kit, standard issue for all candidates. "The rules are simple," Zethak continued, gesturing with one of his 6 arms toward the wasteland. "Survive for 30 days using only what this world provides, plus your emergency supplies. Prove your species worthy of joining the Galactic Council, or join the bones of those who came before." Sarah nodded calmly. "Understood, Commander. When do I start?" "Now." The transport's engines roared to life behind them. "We return in 30 days. If you're alive, humanity gains council membership. If not..." He left the sentence hanging as he boarded his vessel. Sarah watched the ship disappear into the orange sky, then surveyed her surroundings. The sun beat down mercilessly, and she could already feel the moisture being pulled from her skin. Most beings would have immediately begun searching for shelter, water, and food, the basic needs for short-term survival. But Sarah had studied the reports of every failed candidate. She knew their mistakes. They had all thought in terms of survival. She began walking, not frantically searching for immediate shelter, but with purpose. Her trained eye cataloged everything: the mineral composition of the rocks, the barely visible traces of ancient water flow, the hardy lichens clinging to cliff faces. By evening, she had established a basic shelter in a natural rock formation. But she had also done something none of the previous candidates had attempted. She had started a map. On the second day, while other species would have been desperately hunting for their next meal, Sarah was grinding certain mineral deposits with rocks, testing their properties. She collected samples of everything: plants, soil, even insects, that emerged at dawn and dusk. By day 4, she had fashioned crude tools not just for survival but for construction. The first council observation probe arrived on day 7, expecting to find either a corpse or a being clinging to life in some meager shelter. Instead, they found Sarah building. She had identified a location where 2 seasonal streams would converge during the wet season, still months away. Using a combination of clever engineering and backbreaking labor, she was constructing a series of channels and small dams. She had also begun what appeared to be agriculture, planting seeds from hardy local plants in carefully prepared soil. "Interesting," observed Council Scientist Vorth through the probe's transmitter. "The human appears to be planning for the future rather than merely surviving the present." By day 15, already longer than any previous candidate, Sarah's small settlement had transformed. She had built a water collection and purification system, established a small farm with 3 different local crops, and constructed a more permanent shelter that included a workshop area. She had even begun pottery, creating vessels for food storage and water transport. The council probes watched in fascination as she crafted increasingly sophisticated tools, developed new techniques for processing local materials, and began what appeared to be infrastructure projects far beyond the scope of simple survival. On day 20, something unprecedented occurred. A massive sandstorm, the type that had killed several previous candidates, swept across the region. The council observers expected to find the human settlement destroyed and her bones buried in the sand. Instead, Sarah's preparations held. Her shelter design channeled the wind safely around her structures. Her water storage systems were protected underground. She had even used the storm to her advantage, collecting additional water and mineral deposits that the winds had exposed. But what truly amazed the council was what she did next. As the storm cleared, Sarah began expanding. She started construction on additional buildings, a larger workshop, and what appeared to be a road system connecting different areas of her settlement. She began planning and building as if she intended to stay permanently, as if others would join her. "She's not just surviving," Counselor Morth observed during an emergency session. "She's building a foundation for others. She's creating civilization." On day 25, Sarah's settlement featured running water, sustainable agriculture, workshops producing increasingly sophisticated tools and materials, and even what appeared to be decorative elements, art created for beauty rather than mere function. She had turned a survival test into a colonization project. When Commander Zethek returned on day 30, he found not a desperate survivor, but a confident colonist standing before what could only be described as the beginning of a city. "How?" was all he could manage to ask. Sarah smiled, gesturing to her thriving settlement. Every other species that came here was thinking about survival, about lasting 30 days. But humans don't just survive. We build. We plan for the future, for our children, for generations we'll never meet. You wanted to test if we were worthy of joining your council." She paused, looking out over the foundations of roads that stretched toward the horizon, toward expansion sites she had already selected for future growth. "But maybe the real question is whether your council is ready to think the way humans do, not just about surviving today, but about building tomorrow." The transport ship's cargo bay remained open for a long time as the council delegation processed what they had witnessed. They had designed a test of survival, but the human had responded with something far more profound, a demonstration of civilization itself. In the council records, Sarah Chen's 30 days would be noted not as the longest survival time, but as day 0 of humanity's first successful off-world colony. The test had ended, but the city she built continued to grow, welcoming visitors from across the galaxy who came not to test their survival, but to study the remarkable human approach to turning hostile environments into homes. The council had asked for a survivor. Humanity had sent a founder,